I am with Dave Miller, who is the head coach of the Fairmont High School varsity football team. Coach, let's talk a little bit about last week, and then we'll move on to what we're looking for this week.
Okay.
Had a slow start, leading to 7-0 at the half, with turnovers for both teams in the second quarter. What can you emphasize in practice this week to curb those mistakes?
Well, we talk about it all the time. I mean, ball security for us is a major factor. So, if you go back to last year, we had 6 turnovers the entire year, and we had 3 in the first half. Including the first drive. We go down. We had an 11-minute drive, 17-play drive, and we're ready to punch it in, from the 1-yard line, and can't do that. I mean, if you do that against the wrong team, that could come back to haunt you, and gave them new life. I think we had control of the game at that point, and that would have been interesting to see what would have happened if we'd punched it in there. But our defense did a really good job keeping us in the game. We put ourselves in pretty bad field position a couple times. There were some other fumbles and a miscue on a punt. Our punter put his knee on the ground. So those are all things that we are stressing this week and talking about. You just can't do that because, like I said, against good football teams, you're going to pay the piper for that kind of thing. But the field goal block was huge. That was a huge momentum shift for us, and we settled down the second half, and the offense did really what they were supposed to be doing, and had some success there. So, but like I said, you can't turn the ball over like that. We talked about it all week and are continuing to talk about it, and it's something we definitely stress, but we got to do a better job with it.
All right. Although he threw only 2 passes, what do you think of the job Dylan Krieger did at quarterback?
Well, Dylan, is kind of a game manager for us. I think he had a good game overall. I mean, the one pass, it was just off the fingertips of Asa Dunleavy. We had him wide open, and really to Dylan's credit, he had people in his face. So the other pass he threw was right there, and like I said, he managed the offense very well. Had a fumble there in the first quarter, our first drive down there on the 1. But I kind of blame myself a little bit for that because it was something we didn't do technique wise, or we have to do a better job with. But outside of that, he had a really good game.
Drew Baker was the expected workhorse with over 200 yards. How about the job the offense did to help him?
Well, they gave us some things we were able to exploit in the second half. Fortunately, we had a little trouble up front, I think early. But Drew is, like you said, he's our fullback. That's kind of the feature of our offense. And the long run he had, the 80-yard run there, that was kind of a backbreaker. We were in a dogfight up until that point. We were up 10-0. They came down and threatened again. We ended up blocking another field goal, so that was huge to kind of give us some separation. And he ran hard all night, and our line did block hard. I think we made some fundamental mistakes that we have to get cleaned up too. But and then Asa Dunleavy as a lead blocker, or both our halfbacks really, or all of our halfbacks, did a pretty good job on that too. So things to clean up, but overall pretty good, when we look back on it.
Defensively, holding all to 170 yards, how do you feel the unit performed overall?
Really well. Like I said in the first half, that was a great job. We had the 1 lapse there. They came down the field. They scored on a big play on us, and that's something we stress. It's inconsistency, and you do that again against a really good football team, and that's going to cost you. So our opponent this week, we can't do that. They have too many weapons. So going forward, that's going to be the case. But overall, they played pretty well. So and I think the good thing is they weren't satisfied with their effort. I think they, if they look back at the film, and we talked about it, giving up the 1 touchdown, they were upset with themselves about that. So it's easier to keep focused when that type of stuff's happening.
And you touched on this a little bit, specifically how about Gus Weiler and Payne, each with 4 solo tackles and forcing turnovers? Yeah,
big nights for both those guys. Cameron had a turnover. Obviously the blocked or the interception he had earlier, and then the blocked field goals because it was plural. He did block both of them. And then the scoop and score by Stevie Doty, who's new to us this year, hasn't played since 8th grade. So that was, and he had a turnover himself. He had an interception. But Dalton also, he had 2 caused fumbles and at least recovered one of them himself. But and also played tight end for us too. So big night from him. So really, yeah, big night from all those guys and team effort, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that. But those were some huge plays for us.
Okay, now we're going to move on to Trotwood. The team you beat 35-0 last year. They had a rough time losing 39-16 to Winton Woods. What do you see from them in that game that concerns you?
They are extremely talented, and we beat a very young sophomore laden team last year at our place. Had a couple, onside kicks, or turned into being onside kicks, I guess you'd say, that helped a lot. So when when you look at who they lost to, Winton Woods was state champs last year. So they're loaded themselves. So what I see is a very explosive, scary football team because they can break it on you any minute. That quarterback is really good. He gets outside the pocket. He runs the ball. Extremely well, and has a lot of talented receivers to throw to. The running back is shifty. He ended up breaking about a 60-yarder against Winton Woods, and they ended up stripping the ball from him at the end of that play. So it's really deceiving when you really go back and look at their game. We also had them in a scrimmage against Centerville, and it's there. And if they put it together, they can be really good. Again, looking at the opponent they had last week, they had to go down to Winton Woods. So that's a tall task in itself, and they competed. I think that the score is really not an indicator of the game itself when you go back and look at it. So.
All right, final question for you. What are your impressions of their sophomore signal caller, Tim Carpenter?
I think he's a junior. I hope he's a junior because I don't want to have to deal with him for 3 more years. But he's really good. When you look at him, he's 6'4", 220. You look at him on film. He's a big time prospect. And like I said, he has some people around him, so it's not just him. But he's as good as they come. High quality quarterback, and Coach Graham does a great job. Their staff, they're well coached over there. So it's going to be a task.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you again for taking the time to speak with me, and good luck on Friday.
Thank you, Norm.
I'm with Jeff Graham, who is the head coach of the Trotwood-Madison Rams, and I should say head coach of the varsity football team as well. In your opener against Winton Woods, there was a big play from 2 of your players. First, let's take a look at wide receiver Quentin Johnson with 2 catches for 63 yards. What would you attribute his success to in that game?
Just being patient. He's a new player on our team, just got here, so for him to get acclimated and get familiar with him and Tim being on the same page is something that we got to continue to build and keep it going. So it was good to see that happen in the game, so we'll know now that you guys are getting the rhythm together and things of that nature, so you guys will be able to be on the same page.
All right. Then you had running back Michael Smith, who had 63-yard run from scrimmage. What was the key to success on that particular play?
Oh, it was we were backed up on the 1-yard line, and we came out. We wanted to even them out in their front, so we called like a 2 tight end set, and Mike was able to read the 3 technique, and by reading the 3 technique, he was able to get a nice opening and got an opening field, and Mike's, he played different positions before in the past for us and things of that nature, but he's primarily a defensive guy, corner, and but we like his athleticism, so we put him at wide receiver. Running back and things of that nature. So, when he gets in the open field, you just got to understand he got to protect the ball. And that's what happened. He fumbled on that long run. So, and that was a lesson learned, so that's good that we can teach that. So we got some good teaching points that we can move forward with.
All right. Your team won the 4th quarter, 16-7. What bright signs did you see from your team in the 4th period?
Perseverance. Perseverance is a big thing that we teach around here. Even though we were on the opposite end, adversity sometimes comes in so many different facets that a young ball club have to understand what's at stake at times. You can always recover if you work hard. So we just tried to let them know, like when we practice and things of that nature, sometimes we start off slow. It's not an aggressive practice, but one thing that they did excellent was that they finished. So that's good that they finished. So now we can start building on what we need to do in the first half. So now we won't have to be coming from behind and things of that nature. So it's a learning experience for some of the kids. And but perseverance is one of the big things that we teach, that no matter how adversity go, it's a 4-quarter game. You have opportunities to come back. Don't quit. Don't be a quitter. And learn how to win. You know what I mean? So that was a good teaching point for us.
Overall, what will the emphasis be in practice this week, other than trying to lessen the 4 turnovers committed last week?
Turnovers dictate good ball games, right? So we want to get on that side of the zero side of turnovers. The biggest lesson, I think, for this week, because it's a whole different set of ground rules for our defense. If we go in phases, our defense, if you've seen Fairmont play, they come off the ball real well, and they come off hard, and they come off right at you. They let you know we're running forward. So, and that's good. So now our team has to get back and adjust to that. On offensive side of the ball, we got to be able to control and get first downs. We started off good in the first quarter, made some good adjustments, got down there close to the red zone. Hey, should you punt here? Should you go for it? Young ball club, let's go for it. Let's build confidence. So we got to the 4th and 5, and we didn't make it, right? They were able to come down, sustain the drive, and by default, I ain't going to say they wasn't coached well. One of our kids ran the wrong coverage. Guy opened up, wide open for a touchdown. So this week, that's what we're trying to teach them. Like, hey, when you get into the red zone, understand it's a different style of game that has to focus. Your mindset has to go, and we have to be able to put points on the board, especially against a team that can score points. So Woods can score points. Fairmont clearly can score some points, and we know that we're outstatured just by size, that they're bigger than us. So we have to put their offense on the side and make sure that we sustain good drives on our offense to be able to continue to put points on the board to make them get out of their comfort zone.
All right. As for Fairmont, no surprise you go up against a one-dimensional team with Drew Baker on the ground. What do you look defensively to slow him down?
Gang tackle. We have to be assignment, gap, integrity. All right, so with this kind of team, they're going to read your fronts. Okay, so they're going to know, just by formation, and we can dictate by formation, they're going to run a dive here. Okay, they're going to run a dive, and the next thing you know, not a trick play, but a pass play. A team that normally is not a passing team, right? So that's what I mean by being gap integrity, read your keys, understand, and that's what they do well. What Fairmont does well is they consistent about what they do, and they don't care that you know it, right? So how they outmatch your defense is now your defense get in the wrong gaps, right? Linebackers don't fill in the right holes. You got safeties that look in the backfield. Oh, I thought I seen him hand off, and boom, that wing is down the field catching a 20-yard pass on you. So we just have to be mindful of that. And one of the biggest things that I've always did with a wing T team is that we try to practice with no football. I don't know why I'm telling everybody my secret. That'll give them the opportunity to not look for the football, right? Read your keys. Be honest and reading your keys. And then, we have to gang tackle. We have to tackle him, get him to the ground. We had a lot of missed tackles in our first game. And the kids understand, like, hey, coach, we understand that was a big back we went against Wynwood. So, and they have to maintain that and see that when we say we got to rap, we have to rap.
All right, final question for you, Coach. Quarterback Tim Carpenter averaged only 5 yards per pass completion. What can you scheme to get longer pass plays?
He has to not hold the ball in certain situations, especially against a team that plays a lot of man. Tim tends to want to, see the play through and not anticipate. And we're trying to teach him how to anticipate the guys not being open, right? So if he's not open, we want you to anticipate the throw to get it out of your hands. So I think this week, his learning curve should be understanding that I can't hold on to the ball. I have to get the ball out of my hands. So if I get the ball out of my hands, it'll help us be able to dictate what we want to do as far as an offense. But if you hold the ball and take sacks, or if you hold the ball and you throw a out route based on you seeing coverage, we want that to be predetermined on his snap. So those are the learning curves that we're trying to teach him right now.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me, and good luck on Friday night.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming out, and I enjoy speaking with you. You have some great questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.